Welcome to the Organic Dragon Show with special guest co-host Yoda in the house, Grandmaster. We also have a baby Yoda now, part of the family. So today's topic is on mastering stress in the workplace. So how many of you have stress in the workplace right now? Just curious. Anybody out there? So I'm going to give you some tips and things of that. And if you have any tips yourself or anything that I don't mention, please chime in. Because as people go back and look at these shows, then they can also use your tips for mastering stress in the workplace. So they say the average business professional has 30 to 100 projects on their plate. How many do you have on your plate? So the first little bit of information is act rather than react. Or I heard this saying, react when reaction is crucial. So as we experience stress, then we feel the situations are out of our control. It activates the stress hormone. If chronic, it wears down your confidence, concentration, and well-being. As some of you know right now, with all the stress in the world, you almost get into a brain fog where you get, very unproductive. And so, but remember, you're in control of your actions and responses, always and forever, but not in control of the macro forces of someone else's tone, for example. So be impeccable for your 50% and let go of the rest. So just let go of everyone else's stress, let go of everyone else's opinions. Everyone's an expert, everyone's emotionally charged. So remember, most people's opinions and insights to the world right now is coming from their emotional charge and not necessarily through any real facts or information. And even then, so many doctors and lawyers and judges still have differences of opinion. So stick true to your own opinion and master your own stress in the workplace. So the first thing, of course, that you can learn to take control of is your breath. Of course, Qigong is what we do here at the Golden Dragon Arts. And it's one of those core principles. Even like in the Navy SEALs, they are taught to master their breath. So under any situation, one thing that you always have control of is mastering your breath. And there's such a beautiful saying that says, show me a person's breath and I'll show you the person. Because if you show a person their breathing pattern, you're normally going to show, hey Elizabeth, hey Michelle, out there, nice to have you ladies on board with us today. Yes, mastering your breath is one thing that you always have control of. So even a Navy SEAL doing a sniper or creeping, whatever it may be, whatever stress is coming in your way, no matter how big it is, you still have your breath. And if you have your breath, according to Qigong, then you have control of your emotions. So very important. So take a deep breath. We've all heard that. Count to 10, but how many of us really do that? Count to 10. And with the breath, science shows us that one of the most powerful sounds that we can create. They literally did this study where they took hundreds of little electrodes and hooked them all up to their brain, and they had these experts trying different breathing patterns. Long inhale, long exhale, holding the breath, breathing in one nostril, breathing out the other nostril, also what they were thinking. And the one sound to be proven to be the most beneficial is, kind of jokingly, the sound that's built in, this sigh. So it comes out naturally when you're stressed, but if you do it before you get to these higher stress levels, you can lower the stress so you're not affected by them as much. Also, eliminate interruptions. So can we multitask? We absolutely can, but what the science shows is if you're bombarded by emotional things, that's what makes multitasking harder. So a perfect example of that is social media. So if you're multitasking, you're working on your job and you go and you look at something from social media that gets you emotionally charged, it's very hard to go back into that same subject and keep rolling. But if you there's a golden rule, it's the 90-10 rule. They say your body really has this ability, or your brain has this ability to focus in strong for about 90 minutes. And from there, it's a good idea actually to get up and take 10 minutes to do some stretching, to do some Qigong, to do some Tai Chi, walk around your house, get some water, go outside, take a couple deep breaths, get some fresh air, and go back into your task, and you can actually make up that 10 minutes in productivity by just getting your focus and your energy back. So in some places around the world, corporations have figured that out, and they actually make their employees every 90 minutes, they get up and they do some stretching, they do some warm-ups, they do some deep breathing, they take a walk around the building, they come back, and within an hour or two, they've made up for that 10 minutes and increased their productivity at the end of the day. So this is very important. The eliminate interruptions and the 90-10 rule. The next day is eat right and sleep well. We know this. Everyone knows this. You got to eat organic foods. The less processed, the better. I'm not into ever telling one person to have one diet or the other, because not one diet fits all. It's basically, when I do nutritional consultations, I ask people, what are they doing in their lifestyle? If you're a construction worker, then you need a different diet than someone that is retired and then wants to try to reach enlightenment, and they can eat fruit and stuff all day and they don't have a real heavy workload ahead of them. So your diet, of course, is important. Sleep well, but the number one thing for your immune system and for your well-being is actually to be around like-minded people. So every top entrepreneur or self-motivator or health coach that I've ever followed always says the 5 people that you hang out with are more likely going to be what your lifestyle looks like. So make sure you have really good friends that are into, bettering themselves and into bettering their situation. And don't get trapped right now into having friends and colleagues and people that only want to talk about what's happening right now in society. Yes, we have a lot of things happening, but we need those friends that are pushing us. Well, let's create some new ideas. There's also a lot of good business opportunities that are happening right now. Get out there and make some change, and stop complaining. Nobody cares. We've all heard it enough. It's over. Work on and let's move on. And even I'm saying that to myself too right now, okay? Because everyone is talking and talking and talking and talking, get upset. Hey, let's go out there and let's make some real change, and let's create some new ideas and be an entrepreneur and wellness entrepreneur. If you're helping people, you're helping yourself, then it's a win-win situation, and the world isn't going to blow up or go away. So we still need to focus on positive things that are happening right now. So stay positive. Eat good, sleep good, and find healthy people to be around. That's the number one rule from Harvard University, is that the people that you live with, that you associate mostly, have a greater impact on your health when it's all said and be done than any diet, than any eating, than any exercise, than anything else. So remember that. Hang around positive people. Great advice. Thank you so much, Roy. Next is change your story and you change your life. So your perspective of stressful office events is typically a subjective interpretation of the facts. So learn to interpret your story as better. Practice it. So practice talking about when people say, how are you doing? Practice saying, I'm doing good. I'm doing great. I have some new ideas I'm working on. And those people are going, and your real friends are going to say, cool, what are those ideas? And when you have friends like that say, yeah, what are your ideas moving forward? And you start talking about those ideas, that's how you manifest and create new ideas. So have your friends. I learned from my teacher that back in the day, people used to just basically wave. And the people that you said, how are you doing, were your people that you really were, they were giving you a chance to change your story. So let's say you wake up, you're not feeling good, and you have some good friends out there say, how are you doing? They're giving you a chance to change your story. So you say, I'm doing great. I'm feeling good. I got some new business ideas. I'm working on this project. I got my first client. I'm doing some things. I'm selling online. I've changed my business and I'm moving forward. And these are the things that we want to do. So change your own perspective, change your language. And again, going back to the second one that I just mentioned, or the one beforehand, find people that you can expand your information and your ideas with. Those are some of the greatest people and your friends that you want to hang out with. Identify your self-imposed stresses. What stresses you? Is it the news? Then turn the news off. Is it, what other things are stressing you out? Is it a relationship that you're not really happy with? Well, maybe you need to let that go in order to find something good. Or is it a job that you're not happy with now? You don't know if it's going to come back. Well, look around for something different. So identify your self-imposed stresses. Now, they say that everyone in the world has an addiction or has a vice. So what is your vice? Try to look around and make sure that your vice is something that's also going to lead to something maybe healthy. So for example, I try to find things that are stress reduction. So when I'm not thinking about work, I make my malas and I do things like this. So then it's like I'm making a little business, but I'm also kind of using, for stress reduction. Or a garden is a perfect example of that. You're growing a little bit of food, but gardening is shown to really increase, or lower your cortisol levels. Hey, Shauna, yay! Nice to see you on there. We're just jamming out, talking about how to eliminate stress in the workplace. So find a vice that actually can maybe bring something positive into your life. So they even done studies that they show that, let's say you smoke a cigar, but when you get home from a long day's work and you're smoking a cigar and that really just helps you unwind and de-stress, the studies have shown, well, the negative effects of that cigar aren't as detrimental as all the other negative effects that you would if you stayed in that stressful situation. So find something that, de-stresses you. Maybe that's a glass of wine or something else, whatever it may be, find something. But if maybe it's organic wine, or maybe it's something that you can find that's a little more organic or natural. Again, getting out to nature, I always recommend, is one of the highest things that you can do. And it seems like, well, why? Why am I going out looking out the mountains? And I can actually explain it in a lot of details, and there's a lot of Western science now that backs that up. One is called earthing. You get more electromagnetic energy from the earth. Another idea is when you're out in open spaces, well, why do you think artists and people like that want big spaces in order to create? Because when you go outside and there's nothing in your view for a long distance in these open mountains, this is actually extremely good for you in order to de-stress your body and clear your mind of all the bombardment of the negative news and all these things that are in our head all the time from social media. So I know you're watching this on social media, but make sure you set a time limit and you take time away from social media at the same time. You freedom fighters out there. So what I really recommend ultimately for, mastering stress in the workplace is learning to master your breath. Learning some Qigong. So we say, earthing saved my life. Yes, so, in the earthing documentary, they say that one of the biggest detriments to the human health is the invention of the rubber sole. Because since then, we've blocked ourselves from this energy that radiates out the earth. Now, the medical Qigong or Qigong has such a beautiful way to understand this, and once you hear it, maybe you can never unhear it. Because if you think, what comes out of the earth? Everything. All the trees, all the plants, all the fruits, all the vegetables, everything rises out of the earth. So how can we not believe that energy isn't coming out of the earth? And the same thing for us. If we didn't have rubber soles and we go out and barefoot and this energy rises through our bodies, this cleanses our cells, it charges our cells, and there's a lot of good things. My teacher told us that, he said, if you look in nature, when animals get hurt or they're sick, they dig a hole to try to get closer into the earth. And of course, they're trying to get more of this vibration. And he was besides being a Qigong master and an abbot and a dashi and a grand master and all these other things, he was also a Lakota chief from the, and he had a full, he was a full-on chief. And so he had a lot of wisdom, Native American traditional wisdom when it came to the earth, and we learned a lot about that through our training of Qigong and Tai Chi and meditation and Taoism and Buddhism and all that other stuff too. So connect with the earth. It's one of the greatest things you can do from yourself. If we all went outside 10, 15 minutes every day or on the weekend, one of my big parts of my health regiment is actually taking time away from social media on Sunday or Saturday and going out to nature to clear my head and clear my mind, and it's worked really good for me. So hopefully you can take my advice and get out to nature. That's your prescription for today. So a couple things about breath, since this is the main emphasis. So there's two different types of breaths that we can use, that most people use in some fashion or other, and they don't know it. One is called the scholar's breath. And the scholar's breath is literally just a longer exhale. So if you breathe in for 5, then you need to exhale for 10. Try it with me. We're going to do 2 more. Inhale for 5. Exhale for 10. One more. Inhale for 5. Exhale for 10. Already feel a little nicer. I noticed it's already calmed me down. I was kind of just rambling off information there, trying to keep you guys hooked on here. And so this is the scholar's breath is when we want to be a scholar, when we want to learn. It also has been proven to lower heart rate, lower blood pressure, calm the central nervous system down. You can even hear in my voice now, that was only 3 breaths. So the golden rule is 10 breaths. If you can do 10, we've heard that before, count to 10. If you can do 10 of these scholar's breath, boom, you can change your emotional state, you can change your mental state, and you can also change your physiology, your physical state by increasing or decreasing the stress hormones in your body. Now the other one is called the warrior's breath. Now this one makes a lot of sense. When you need energy, you want to take longer inhales. So if you breathe in for 10 and exhale for 5, breathe in, then you start to oxygenate your system. You start to get your central nervous system charged, and you start to get motivated. You think of like a fighter or a warrior. What do they do before they get into a fight? They start to gather this energy, and they start to energize themselves to get ready to go into the ring to fight. And so we have these 2 powerful breaths. They're very simple. The scholar is a longer exhale, and the warrior is a longer inhale. And if we do either one of those for 10 reps, we can make some serious changes in our chemistry, our emotions, and our mind. So, I implore you guys to try it. Don't take my word for it. Just like all great teachers have always said, don't take their word for it. Try it for yourself. Yeah, and let's see. Earthing saved my life. Yes, let's see any other comments on here, any other questions that you guys might have. And again, these are just little mini shows, hopefully to inspire you guys. And we're building our Organic Dragon YouTube channel, and I'll put the link below if you can subscribe to that. We're trying to get it to a point where we can actually monetize it and help more people move into a digital platform, and maybe one day our own digital platform, so we'll have the freedom of speech to really talk about important topics of our world. And thank you guys so much for joining me today. Take a couple deep breaths, think positive, say some affirmations, follow these things, look back through this, pass it on, leave some comments for other people if you have some ideas that I didn't touch upon. And this is the way that we can help each other. Share what is your best thing that you can do to lower stress in the workplace or at home or wherever you go, in the stores or whatever it may be. So thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you guys next week, same time, same place, 4 to 5, Wednesdays, Organic Dragon Show. Thank you so much.